welcome to MCN and welcome to our series where we talk about the bikes that we actually buy. So usually Nevesy's presenting these, but as we've got an off-road bike today, I thought I'd take to the helm. And this is Nye, another member of the MCN team, and this is his 2017 KTM EXC-500. So before we get started talking about the bike, first tell us a bit about yourself, because you're 26 and you're very well travelled. So give us a bit of a brief rundown on where you've been, what you've been on, and how you ended up with an EXC-500.
So growing up, it was all kind of trials riding, enduro, motocross. And I had a little swerve into road riding. I turned 19, got my A2 license. I had a little foray into road racing as well, but my love was always kind of in the dirt. So I did this small trip when I was 19. I did the North Coast 500. And I had this epiphany of, I just suddenly loved touring. And then the year after, when I was 20, I went on a Tiger 800 and I rode from the UK to Azerbaijan and back. And I immediately wanted to do more, but life gets in the way, money gets in the way. But last year I did my kind of biggest trip to date, and that was UK to Cape Town, so that was down the west coast of Africa. And the theme is that in all of these trips, the bikes have got lighter and more off-road focused. It's gone from an 800 triple to a 250 single, and now I'm on a 500cc enduro bike. And I think the trips have taught me that if you want to see more, you need to go lighter each time, or for me, I like to go lighter each time. There is no rush. You don't need a big bike to go away traveling around the world, because outside of Europe, you can't go above 50 miles an hour a lot of the time anyway.
Yep.
And if you want to go and explore some far off place, having a bike that will take you there safely off-road is the perfect tool for that.
And I suppose if you're on your own as well, the weight makes such a difference. If you're tired after a long day of riding, if you're in a bit of trouble, it must make such a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're riding places that are a little bit unknown, or a little bit unknown to me at least, I didn't know what the terrain was going to be like, often in Africa. And having that small bike made me not worry about that. There was enough other difficulties to overcome, all the diplomacy issues and other things to deal with. The last thing I wanted was to have a bike that was fighting against me. So that was what the WR was, basically.
So that's a pretty big adventure. What's been your previous garage setup been like? What else have you had before getting the KTM?
So there's been all sorts, everything from vans to Hayabusas, a little bit of road racing on a GSXR 600. This is my second EXC, so I had a 350 beforehand, and I had that in the garage alongside my WR 250R, which I did the Africa trip on. And I had the two bikes because the 350 was this awesome enduro bike. It was great off-road, but it was pretty crap on the road.
Yep.
The WR was this perfect lightweight adventure bike. I sold the 350 to do the Africa trip. I did the Africa trip on the WR and got back, and I wanted something that did both. So that's where the 500 came in.
You did that massive trip on the WR. Do you miss it? Do you miss having that road going ability, or has this 500 managed to sort of quench everything that you want in one single bike?
I sometimes miss it, but then I open the throttle on this and it has vastly more power and way better suspension, and in every measurable way it's just a notch above.
So enduro bikes always tend to be a little bit flawed when you take them on the road. Obviously that's why you've gone for the 500. Tell us a bit about what this bike's like on the road, what it's like off-road, what you have done to it, because obviously it's a 2017 model, so it's a few years old now, and what you continue to do to it to make sure it runs and continues to perform so well.
So yeah, as a road bike, it's flawed. It's not perfect, it's not a GS certainly, and it's a little bit flighty, but all that compromise on the road means it's awesome off-road. I can go out, I can do a day's green laning on it, or I can go and race an enduro the next weekend, and that's kind of how it's set up at the moment. It's got the big comfy seat concept seat, it's got the nav tower. I can strip all that off, put it back to basics, and then go and do a race, which I'm doing this weekend. So I'm off to the Dawn to Dust 24-hour enduro. I'm going to solo it, see how it goes.
As an enduro bike, the engine's a lot more stressed than what it would be on something a bit softer, like a CRF 300 Rally. What is sort of the servicing intervals and stuff like that on this motor?
So I think KTM specify 8 hours. I don't stick to that. I don't know anyone that sticks to that. They are dead solid. There's people that have ridden these around the world. I think Adam Steinman did 86,000 miles around the world on his and only opened up the engine twice. They are rock solid whilst also being incredibly powerful. It does need a little bit of looking after, but it's so easy to work on that it really doesn't matter.
You've got the comfort seat. I can see you've got obviously the bigger tank on here. What issues have you run into on this and how have you fixed them?
Well, nothing really. It's a KTM, but it's actually been steadfastly reliable. The only issue I've ever had was on one ride, two things went wrong. The side stand bolt snapped, and then about half an hour later, the gear selector fell off somewhere, and I got stuck in fourth gear. But actually, it still soldiered on. I was riding with a mate on an Aprilia Touareg at the time, and he lost his side stand sensor due to a rock. So I then had to tow the Touareg with this stuck in fourth gear on a green lane, and it soldiered on and did it perfectly. So in terms of failures, there's nothing really. It's not perfect. There are a few little niggles. These big 500s, they do vibrate a little bit. So I've had to put some foam rally grips and some anti-vibration bar mounts. Otherwise, it's been rock solid.
People look at enduro bikes, the higher capacity you get, everyone sort of thinks that they're these big, aggressive, fire-breathing animals. But this 500 is not. Tell me a bit about why you like it and why it's so sort of nice and easy to ride.
Whilst on face value, a 500cc dirt bike that weighs just over 100 kilos and is like 60 horsepower should be terrifying, it's really not. It's actually a big friendly giant. It's super easy to ride, and whilst it has got a lot of power, it's extremely usable. It's actually less aggressive than a 450, and because it's so light, when you get off-road, if you're on a big heavy bike, they're scary to ride because you're kind of constantly worried that you're going to drop it on yourself, whereas this just rails through everything. So actually they're super safe and super easy once you get past the fact that they're big and tall and do hoiking wheelies everywhere.
And obviously you've got quite a lot of experience on off-road bikes. How would you compare this to something that is, you know, slightly less powerful and slightly more aggressive, like perhaps your 350? Do you find this easier to ride?
It is a compromise in certain places. If you stick this in a single track wood section against a 350, or especially against a two-stroke, you're going to feel the weight and you're going to feel the engine inertia, especially because it wants to run on.
Yep.
It doesn't have that kind of anti-stall ability that you get with a two-stroke. But then you could also go and do 200 miles on the road on this in a day, and it'll sit at 70 miles an hour on the motorway, which you can't do. So it's all a compromise, but this will take you anywhere you want it to go.
And for road and off-road, it's pretty much the best of both worlds in that case, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You've got the travel bug, you've got the adventure bug. Would you ever think about changing this for a bigger adventure bike? Would you go down the route of a 690 Enduro R or an 890 Adventure R in that sort of way? Or would you be happy sticking on an Enduro bike that's got a little bit more of that road bike to it, like this thing?
No, I'd ride this to the end of Africa tomorrow. I'm not a huge fan of plugging away at road miles, so
Yeah.
I'm happy to chuck this in the van, go somewhere interesting, and then do the ride. So that extra 50 kilos that you get from a 690 doesn't appeal to me. I can take this up some hill climb, loop it out, it lands on top of me, and I can just pick it up and carry on my ride. The weight thing is huge for me. I'm never concerned that I'm going to get stuck because it will go literally anywhere I can take it. And I do a lot of my riding by myself.
Yeah.
So if I was on a big kind of twin-cylinder adventure bike, I'd be concerned that I'm going to get stuck, it's going to fall on my leg and kill me. Whereas I just never feel like that with this. I'm kind of confident everywhere.
Well, we had a 790 and we weighed it, and it's near enough double the weight. It's sort of 213, 214 kilos. So that makes such a difference. And obviously when you've got the extended tank on that, what's that, it's about 12 litres?
Yeah, so up from 8.5, I believe, is stock, so kind of 50% extra range.
Perfect. And what adventure have you got planned for this then?
Sadly, nothing really. I would like to go to Portugal, do some TET. I would like to take it to Romania and probably Morocco at some point, but yeah, I don't know, we'll see. There's lots of kind of weekend green laning trips. I've done the Tetty Trail down in Wales, and then lots of day trips out on it, and then mixed in with a little bit of racing. So I don't know, we'll see.
Perfect. And if you have any recommendations of where you think Nye should take his EXC, then let us know in the comments below, because he's always up for an adventure. You can see from all the flags on there, and yeah, we think we need to send you off and go and do some big mileage on it.
All right, let's do it.
And finally, is there anything else on your bucket list to do to this bike?
I would love a Cush drive rear hub, but they are incredibly expensive. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit of saving. I've just bought a house as well, so kind of all the pennies are going towards that really. But yeah, that's kind of the only thing left over. A set of 17s as well to make it into a supermoto would just make it awesome, because then you'd have an awesome road bike that absolutely rails corners, and you'd have this perfect off-road bike. But as it is, it's pretty spot on really.
You've had quite a high turnover of bikes. Would you sell this?
Maybe at some point in the future. I do get bored of bikes quite easily. I've had this for the best part of a year now. I can't see it going anytime soon though. I love it. It just does everything so well, really.
Perfect. Well, thank you for bringing it in. Good luck at the 24 hour next weekend. I hope all goes well and it's as bulletproof as it has been.